Okay, Tushar, there was one name that Atul has taken. This is not part of the debate today because that controversy has died down with the snubbing of Mustafizur Rahman, but Shah Rukh Khan. He was dragged into the controversy. He was even called a traitor by many sections of the political leaders here in India that are leaning in a certain way as far as politics is concerned. But do you think it is because of the name that both Shah Rukh Khan and Mustafizur Rahman have had to, in fact, suffer from the same fate, and this would have been different had it been a Bangladeshi player of Hindu origin?
Look, attacking Shah Rukh Khan was foolish. He has no role to play. He's just an owner here. The control lies with the BCCI. But to answer your question, had it been a Bangladeshi Hindu player, would the circumstances have been different? I don't think so. I think the collective angst was against the Bangladeshi players. Now, is there a precedent for it? If we go back to the 2003 World Cup, even England forfeited their game in Zimbabwe, citing political reasons, citing the Mugabe regime. Even New Zealand forfeited its game against Kenya, which was scheduled in Kenya. And they've also made an appeal to India and Australia back then to forfeit their matches in Zimbabwe. You had an entire decade, rather, where South Africa was not part of the ICC. But then this is not an ICC event. IPL is more of a BCCI event, which is a private body. So the BCCI is free to take a call. My only issue is, why let him in the option then? Nothing has remarkably changed in the last 20 days. The Bangladeshi regime was attacking the sovereignty of India. The leader who's heading Bangladesh right now, he was attacking the sovereignty, saying we'll take the Seven Sisters and whatnot before the IPL auction happened. So I don't think ruling out Bangladeshi players from the IPL is a wrong decision. People are drawing an equivalence that why you're playing Pakistan in the ICC World Cup, for instance. But that is an ICC event. This is a BCCI event. So there are two distinctions here. But to allow him in the option in the first place, I think that was incorrect. Number two, to answer your other question, would these make things worse between India and Bangladesh? Look, I don't think it depends on Mustafizur Rahman how the relations between India and Bangladesh really progress. It depends on Muhammad Yunus and his government. And I don't think they're looking at the IPL player and his fate in 2026.
No, but this is also coming at the back of the External Affairs Minister going to Bangladesh for that entire one-week mourning ceremony for Khalida Zia. So this is also at the back of that. So while the AEM was there, he was there, and then this controversy happens, and then the snubbing of Mustafizur Rahman happens. So how do you think this is not going to be impacting not just the diplomatic channels, but also the cricketing ties between the two nations?
Look, to say it will impact the diplomatic channels between the two countries, to say that had Mustafizur Rahman played in the IPL, maybe less number of lynchings in Bangladesh against the Hindus would have taken place. We cannot, sort of draw a causality between diplomacy and cricket, like we cannot draw a causality between the lynchings that are going on and cricket or diplomacy. These are three very different things. Now, the unfortunate reality is sports is getting caught in the crossfire.
But you're also saying that had it been a Hindu Bangladeshi player, then also this snub would have been relevant and valid. But we are fighting for the Hindu lynchings there. And I would get Tushar, and Tushar was wanting to, make a point there where Chandrasekhar was talking. But Tushar, this entire IPL blackout is also something that we must turn our attention to. Bangladesh deciding not to allow any kind of IPL screening is going to impact and hit the revenue also. Do you think the BCCI will not be looking at that?
No, I don't think so. Bangladesh is that critical to the revenues of the BCCI. I do not buy that. But I want to make three different points. One, we said that India also see lynchings of certain minorities and targeting of certain minorities. Look, there is a difference. In India, the law and order goes after the culprits. In Bangladesh, law and order probably has become an enabler for those lynchings. Point number two, we said that probably this entire fiasco will derail the diplomacy. You tell me, Greha, in 2007, we had the Pakistani players on our soil. We wanted to start afresh. What in 2008, rather, in the first season of the IPL, what happened? In 2011, it was the Prime Minister leading from the front in Mohali in the India-Pakistan semi-final, hoping for a fresh start. We had a series in 2012. What was it followed with? There have been a lot of attempts to start cricketing ties with nations we have political divergence with, but it all doesn't always result in the results we want. So to say that, oh, now you don't have an IPL player, so things are going to get worse. We've tried the opposite of it. We've tried to use cricket as a diplomatic tool. It hasn't worked. So to say that this is going to be a short disaster is also incorrect.
No, but why I've also mentioned about the BCCI and the money angle was that after entire outrage, and rightfully so, after the Pahalgam terror attack of India deciding not to play Pakistan, we eventually did at a so-called neutral venue. And that Asia Cup trophy is still not back in the country. And that is where the drama resides. That's where the politics still simmers on.
And that is where the sports gets caught in the crossfire. But Kapil made a point here that maybe some right-wing accounts are dictating diplomacy of India. I can tell you they were both right, left and centrist accounts during the Asia Cup, begging, urging, demanding, literally sloganeering for India not to play Pakistan on 3 different occasions. The government did not care for it. The ICC did not care for it. The BCCI did not care for it. So if they did not care it that time, I don't think they'll care for it now.
Why should players, and this applies to even artists, why should these people be made to carry the burden of political and diplomatic tensions? What's happening is immensely sad. We have to use the right kind of platforms to send out the right message. But why should players and sports men be asked to carry this burden?
A part of it has to do with the market forces. The market forces, that is the viewers and the sponsors, have made the IPL what it is. And if the same viewers, and if partially the sponsors as well, do not like the idea of Bangladeshi cricketers being a part of the IPL, irrespective of the religion, I think the board or the government will have to take a call. Now, we often think that sports and politics are not intertwined, but that's a lie we keep telling ourselves. You go back to the 2003 World Cup. For instance, England decided not to go to Zimbabwe for the game. New Zealand also wanted to have India and Australia quit their games in Zimbabwe. But that political coloring has always happened. Now, the problem is we draw a causality between
but does it work, Tushar Gupta? Does it really work?
No, it's not. It's not about working or not working. It's about just sending out the statement. Now, I'll give you an example. We tend to draw a causality that if all is well in sports, it might reflect in politics. And that was the intention with which we had the Pakistani players in the IPL's first season. The same intention with which 2011 semi-final between India and Pakistan was such a huge diplomatic event. We tend to draw that causality that maybe if all is well on the sporting field, everything be well in politics. But that doesn't really work out. So to say that Mustafizur Rahman not coming to India will somehow change the dynamics of Hindus Bangladesh, it won't. What is going on with Hindus in Bangladesh has absolutely no link to Mustafizur Rahman's participation in the IPL. But at the end of the day, these are market forces that the BCCI will also have to acknowledge. My only problem is if you had to take a call like this in the after 20 days after the auction, why allow him in the auction in the first place?
Right.
Why send out a wrong message to the team owners? They were not just Shah Rukh Khan's team. There were 4 other teams bidding for Mustafizur Rahman. You are misleading the team owners then. That is where my problem with the BCCI is.
Right. Thank you both of you for joining me on this broadcast. If issues of violence and injustice are brushed aside, sporting ties alone won't hold relationship together. We need to send out a message.